everybody doing? Man, y'all look good. Well, except for a couple of you, but I always tell my kids, like, I have 3, and I said, I like 2 of you, but you'll never know who the one is. And sometimes that third one that I don't like changes. It's different. That's horrible parenting. Don't do that. That's not a part of the sermon. That's really bad. Oh, man. So, hey, so glad that you're here. Whenever you sit down, you probably saw these in your seat. You may have sat on them or moved them over. Don't just move them and leave them in the seat piled up beside you. Take these with you. One of these is going to be your reminder of what's going on, and one of them you can invite somebody along to come with us. It's going to be a way we're just trying to kick off the summer. It's going to be fun after both services. Like it says, bounce houses and food and all that after both services. So it's going to be a really great time. So make sure that you're a part of that. We're going to have a great time right out in front of the church. But we've been in this series, and we've called it Not Just Living for the Weekend. And who in here, we say this every week, but who in here would say, you just love that Monday morning alarm clock? Like when it goes off, you're just so excited. Man, yeah, well, I could have guessed. Yeah, you're. Oh, but most people don't really enjoy that alarm clock. Most people don't just want to hit it and snooze. They want to throw it against the wall and break all their obligations and to-do list and just sleep in a little bit. You know what I'm talking about? Because that's what that alarm clock represents. It represents the life that we're entering into, the things that, we got done on Friday, that there's more waiting for us on Monday. I mean, whether it's school or work or raising the kids, whatever it is, man, it just seems like there's always something to do. And it's not always something that we want to do. It's not always a place that we want to work or a place that we want to be. And we've got to go back into the obligatory work week, the obligatory school week. And so we've been kind of looking at this from a different lens and saying, what if we can change the way that we think about it, and instead of trying to live for something that I'm not in, what if we can really try to live where I'm at? And so we've been looking at that every week and saying, I'm not just living for the weekend or where I'm not at. I'm trying to reframe my perspective to really live where I'm at. And so week 1, we talked about, said live for the why, just not the what. Some of the whats that we do every day honestly aren't fun. Like the what, the to-dos, the job, all that. It's like, very few people are like, too few people are like, I just love my job. It's so fun. I wake up and I'm skipping. I'm happy. Like, no. We don't always love the what, but there's a why. And we said the why is that we read a scripture that week that says everything that we do, we do as unto the Lord. Like literally, we're doing everything to worship God. And so whether things are good or bad or whatever, I'm not doing this to please that person. Anyways, I'm doing this, my job and all that to worship God. Everything that I do, not just Sunday mornings. And so week 2, we looked at not just, being what I do, wearing my hats and my roles. I'm mom or I'm student or I'm this or that or I'm boss, I'm co-worker. Like all these hats we wear today, I'm not just what I do, because if I'm what I'm doing, I'm up and down every day. Some days I had a bad day, so I'm horrible, and then But really, it's about who I am. Who am I? And it's about basing my life on who God says that I am, and that doesn't change. And today we're kind of continuing in that same thought, and we want to really help everybody. I believe something is possible. I believe that we can live every day with purpose and passion and joy. I believe that there's an ability to be able to do that. Yes, even in your situation. Yes, even with what's going on in your life, we can live with a sense of purpose and passion and joy. And I want to try and help you do that in today's as well. So I got a question for you. Okay, so here's the question, and you can ask other people this. What is the question that you can ask all day long? You get completely different answers, but the answers are still correct. What's a question you can ask all day long, get completely different answers, yet all the answers are still correct? Here's the question. What time is it? Who knew it? Who knew it? Anybody? What time is it? That's the question. Time. That's what we're going to talk about today, time. The way that we use it, we spend it, we live in it, because it really matters. And so what is time? Time is, you're like, duh, Pastor Eric. Time is, as we see it, is just the unit of measurement that we use to measure the duration of the human existence. It's pretty much what it is. It's like, just like there's a length and we put into inches and feet and yards and all that, it's the metric that we use to measure the duration of our lives and of human existence. We use things called seconds and minutes and hours and days and months and years and centuries and decades, all that to measure our lives by. And time helps us to break our life down in different segments. This season of my life, this is the time that it takes to do this. This is how long it takes to get to work. It helps me to kind of break my life down a little bit easier. How much time is left in the day, right? How many, we ask ourselves that, like you keep glancing up at that. How long will I be here? How long does it take? So we know all those kinds of things. So we all live within this measurement. You are older now than when I first started talking. And some of you are saying, I know, I feel it. Golly. But that's how the measurement of time works. It's never ending, always continuing. But how can we determine the way that we experience the time that we have? Because what I've realized about time, we all have the same measurement. We all have the same seconds and hours and years and all that. But there's a vast difference in how we can experience the time that we're in. And we experience it at different seasons of life, different years, different activities, different settings that we're in. Different people experience things differently. Who can remember a time in your life when you just felt like things were standing still? It's like it will never end. A waiting room at an ER. Right? Like, How about, I remember being in school and it took just as long from 2:45 to 3 o'clock that it took the beginning part of the day. And you're just sitting there and you're just watching the hand and like the seconds, you're thinking, this is a joke, it's broken. Like, it just takes forever. And we can also remember some of those times, right, that usually good times and fun times, like, it just went by too quick, it was so fast. You know, my youngest daughter for 2 weeks has been looking forward to going to a field trip with her school to Splash Kingdom. And so she's been talking about it every day. She's so excited. She's so excited. She's so excited. And then Thursday they went, and then that evening, I was like, hey, how was it? Oh, it was fun. What? It's like, it's over. Like, it's building up to that, so it takes forever. And she would count down, it's 3 more days, it's 2 more days, and then it's like, now it's over. It's like, man, that's how time goes, though. It's the same measurement, but we can all experience it so differently. I think there's this thing called a paradox of time, and I'm not talking about like the space-time continuum, right, where you hop in your time machine, you go back and you see yourself, don't touch yourself because it's going to mess up everything. Like everything's going to explode and all time's going to change. Don't change anything from the past. Not that kind of paradox of time. Because I know we're all infatuated with this idea of time, and there's books and movies and some hit movies about time travel and things like that because we have this obsession with it. But it keeps going forward, but we can experience it so different. That's the paradox. The standard and the measurement never changes. It doesn't stop. It's not partial, doesn't play favorites. I like you better, so your seconds are going to take a little, you're going to age a little slower. I don't like you, it's going to speed up. That's not the way time works. It has no partial, no favorites, but the paradox is it can be experienced from person to person, season to season, so incredibly different. I experience a year in a month different now than I did whenever I was 10. A year was a tenth of my life. Now it doesn't seem like it's long. I want to think about time for a minute in kind of the frame of how we spend it. How do we spend the time that we have? There's been some research from people who are smarter than me that have done some research, and they kind of broke down the average American, the average person, into the average length of age that's lived and the activities that's lived in their life. And they broke this down into the time that we have, and this is how we spend it. It's about 79 years is the average. And then all these dots represent our life and the time spent. Here's a little bit how it breaks down. 79 years of age is the average age. 33 years of that is in bed. Amen, right? You're like, I don't think I get that much. A lot of our life is in bed. It says 13 years, 2 months is at work. If you talk about back to back to back to back. 11, check this one out. I thought this was interesting. 11 years and 4 months in some kind of screen time on your phone, watching TV. If you total it up, about 11 and a half years of my life was spent in front of a screen. 4.5 years eating. I like that part. I'm good with that. And so, like, if you're in school, a lot of times, man, we're like, this takes forever. I can't wait for school to be over. But really, up there, it's a dot on the timeline. It's such a small time, but it feels like forever because the different seasons feel so different. This is a little bit how we spend our time. But here's how we look at life a lot of times. So here's all of those moments, and here's all the time, right, in this chart. Here's how much time we have in life. Now, I don't know how much you have. I don't know how much I have. And I don't know how much of these moments that we get. But I know how we like to live our life is we say, there's a few moments that I really want to live for. I want to live to retire. I want to live to do the things that I enjoy. And so we live our life this way. If I can just get past all of these other moments, then I can finally get to something that I feel like my life is called to. I can finally live my purpose and be happy. But I just got to get through all of this other junk first. How much do we lose out on trying to just live for this, but never living really in any of this? How much do we lose out on? How much time do we have? We don't know. We know that it's limited. We have to make sure that each moment really matters. Each moment really matters. How do we take the time that we have and make it matter? If we really want to live for the now, not just for what's next, not just trying to get to the bottom of this jar, and then, you know how small, because if you put that graphic back up, everything that the sleep and the work and all that stuff that we see as obligation and I just got to get past so that I can get to the rest, the things that aren't really planned. That bottom here, you see how small the rest really is? We miss the rest of life trying to get to that little part. What if we could see things a little bit different? We have to change our view of time. We have to change how we take time in ourselves, our perception of it. So we all have the same metric for time, but we really can experience it so differently based on how we view it and we live it out. See, because the Bible has two words in Greek for time. We have one word that's chronos, which is the word that we use to think of the metric of time and the measurement. It's where we get chronology and we get our calendar and we get all of that from the duration. We write things on the calendar and the agenda and you know that was a minute of my life gone. That's all chronos. That's one way. That's talking about the quantity of time that we have. And that's usually the way that we think about time. There's a quantity, this is what I've got. But there's another word that the Bible uses for time, and it actually uses it a lot more often. And when it talks about the way that you spend our time, the way that we live this out, it doesn't use that word at all. It uses a word called kairos. Kairos. Kairos is different because where chronos says this is the duration, the length, this is the quantity, the amount of time that I get. Kairos is the quality of time. It's not just what's being spent, but how am I spending the time that I get? That's kairos. And this word in Greek, it was used a lot of times in terms of archery. So how you made your shot was your kairos. And so you would line up to the target, and you would take into account everything that's going on, all the winds, all the things around you. You would take into account how far away from your target that you are to determine when and how you release the arrow to hit the target. Because you want to take into account everything that's affecting the shot so that you can make your very best shot. That's the kairos. Say, I'm looking at everything and I want to make the best of the shot that I've got. See, no matter what's around me, kairos says, I know that I've got a lot of things maybe around me that I don't even want, some things that I didn't choose. I got some moments that I don't like. Maybe I don't even enjoy that job. That boss is a jerk. But kairos is saying, I'm taking into account all the things that are surrounding me, all the stuff around me, and I'm going to decide how I can do this to make it the very best that I can. When you're shooting, you can't make the wind not blow at 15 miles an hour and be perfect. You can't control it, but what you can control is how you make the shot to do the very best that you can. That's kairos. Another word for kairos, the way that it's translated, is the word opportunity. Each moment becoming an opportunity. Taking everything into account, and how can I make this my very best? Living for quality, not just quantity. With that in mind, we read this scripture a couple of weeks ago. We're going to read a couple of scriptures that use this word kairos to help us kind of understand this a little bit. In Colossians chapter 4, verse 5, it says this: live wisely. I want you to hang on to that because we're going to need that word wisely. We want to live wise in life. Among those who are not believers, in the life that we're in around everybody, whether they believers, a lot of people don't, that we're around every day. It says this, and make the most of every opportunity, our kairos. Another way that you can translate that, when knowing the word kairos, is make every moment an opportunity. Not just passing it by, but each moment is being spent, the chronos, the time, it's going by. I mean, you're spending a second, you're spending a week, it's going by, but what am I doing with that? What's the quality that's having? What's the opportunity that I'm creating in that? And then we look at Ephesians, also written by Paul as well. Ephesians 5, and it's actually verse 15 and 16. It says, so be careful how you live. Now pay attention to how you live. It matters how we spend these moments. So don't live like fools, but like those who are, there's that word again, wise. Live wise. I mean, live like wise people. Make the most of every opportunity in these evil days. In these evil days, man, we're in a world that's messed up by sin and by it's corrupted, and there's days that it's going to happen that we wouldn't wish on our greatest enemy. Stuff's going to come against us, but no matter what comes up, it says make the most of every opportunity. We've got all these circumstances, but I'm going to release this life and these moments to where it hits the best that it possibly can. That's our kairos. I'm living. I want to live with passion and purpose and joy, no matter what's happening around me, the best that I can. When we talk about wise, there's a scripture in Psalms that helps us become people who are wise. Right? It says, live as people who are wise and make the most of opportunity. How do we do that? There's this psalm. Is some wisdom passed down from Moses that was written down here. And it says this: teach us to number our days so that we may gain a heart of wisdom. We can gain a heart of wisdom. We can become wise. How? How to become wise? Learning to number our days. Saying that the quantity of the time that we get, that chronos, which just so happens to be the planet of the Klingons, just there for you, to take all those days. We don't know how many we get. I don't know if my picture is here or if it's here. I don't know. But it's saying to number those days and realize the brevity of how much I have. No matter if I get 100 of them in the scope of time, it's so little. Numbering our days, realizing that I have to be intentional with how I live because I get a certain season, a certain life. And when I number my days and realize that, it makes me wise. And whenever I can walk with that perspective into life, it gives me the perspective to begin to make the most of opportunity and live for quality and not just quantity, getting past all this junk to where I can experience 4 days of fun before I die. But what if there's more to life than that? What if there's more? But Pastor, my family, you don't know my family. No, but I've been to my family reunions. Some of them, I'm not talking about the ones who are in the room, though. The other people. There's some in the room. You don't know my job. You don't know my situation. No, I don't. I don't know what's going on in your life. But I do know the guy who wrote this, who wrote Colossians and Ephesians, this guy named Paul. As he wrote this, he was in prison. That was his situation. And not just in prison, but he would have been chained to a prison guard at all times. At all times, he was chained to somebody. No freedom. You got to use the bathroom? Do it chained to me. I wouldn't want that job, by the way, but whatever. That's not the point. But so he pinned these down and say, make the most of every opportunity. Obviously, he's had a perspective shift about what that looks like. The Life Application Study Bible has some notes in there in the scripture, and it says, Paul realized that his current circumstances weren't nearly as important as what he did with them. That's powerful. Because how many of us would be like, this is not where I want to be, this is not how I planned my life, it's not how I want to spend my moments in prison, chained to this prison guard. And he did it for living for God. They imprisoned him when he was living for Jesus. Like, Jesus, I gave you my life and things seem to be falling apart. Who ever said that before? I thought things would be perfect after I lived for Jesus. Man, now we've got a target on our back for the devil, but you know what? It's so much better. We have purpose now. But Paul had a different perspective. We would be mad. We'd be angry. We'd be saying words that our mom would be ashamed of. Man, because we're looking at this obligation that I'm stuck in this moment of time, this chronos. I can't believe that I'm having to spend my time this way. I hate this, and I'm angry, and I'm mad. I'm stuck next to this prison guard. I'm stuck into this job, or if you work in the prison, I'm stuck next to this prison guard in my job. We have a few of those in here. I'm just, I did not choose it, and you're just frustrated and angry, and you're bitter all the time. Paul was in prison next to a prison guard, and he didn't see it as obligation of how I'm forced to spend my time. He saw that guy as an opportunity. He said, I've got a captive audience to tell about Jesus for 6 hours, and they're going to give me a new one. I mean, this guy was done. They're releasing him. A new guy's coming. He's like, look, a new opportunity's coming my way. I mean, it's like we were just like, oh, another thing that I got to do that I want to do. Like, I just got. And Paul's like, come here, man. I want to spend some time with you. Make the most of every opportunity. Would you probably agree that's not where Paul wanted to be? He always had this vision, and you can read it in the scriptures. You know his heart. He wanted to go preach the gospel in Rome. Not the way he wanted to do it. He's probably thinking maybe like standing up and preaching to important people, and instead he had a prison guard, a Roman soldier tied to him. But you know what? He said, instead of an obligation, like, I'm so mad and ticked off that I got to be here, this is an opportunity, and it's not what I chose. It's not the winds of life that I would have wanted to hit me, but I'm going to do the very best that I can in the moment that I'm in. Because I'm given this moment, and I'm going to make the best of it. I'm living each one, not just trying to get to certain ones. See, chronos is our obligation. There's nothing we can do about it. It's always rushing and never feeling like we ever complete. It's always moving to the next, and it's never having enough. It's always stressed out. Anybody identify with any of those things? There's a sermon due every weekend. My kids are like, they have a paper. I'm like, you have a paper due? I've got a speech due with 200 people judging me every week and grading me. You know, everything can be an opportunity or an obligation. It's depending on our perspective. See, because that's chronos. Kairos is opportunity in every moment. Chronos, the quantity, how much we get, how it's spent, the seconds, the days, the hours, it's inevitable. Nothing you can do about it. Second older, second older, second older, second older. You couldn't change it. Second older, stop. No, we can't stop it. It's going. It's inevitable. You know it's not inevitable? Kairos, quality of the time that I do have. How do I change the experience that I have in the time? I have to change how I perceive it. I'm not just living to get through some moments. I'm living to make moments matter. Don't just live for the moments that matter, the big moments, the moments that are like, I'm living for. Live to make moments matter. Opportunity all the time. I'm not saying this as an expert. I'm saying this as an expert who gets it wrong. Expert at wrongness. Is that a thing? It's not a thing, but I just made it up, so it's a thing now. You can put it on Wikipedia, and you can type anything you want. But how we spend the time that we have. So I have just a few questions. Real quick, just a few questions to help us figure out, am I telling time right? And how can I live really with a kairos life in a chronos world? Quality when everybody is just thinking about getting past and moving on and going to the next thing. In such a fast-paced world, how do I live to really have quality and live with purpose and passion and joy? I think we can do that. First question, are the moments that we've viewed as obligation? I don't want to be there, I got to be there. Are those moments that we've viewed as just obligation actually maybe could be possibly the opportunities that God is wanting to use to get you where you're supposed to be? I'm just wanting to get past this, but God's saying, I actually wanted to use this. And if we're just getting past this, then we're never going to get to where God has for us to be. Are the moments that we view as obligation, the situation that you're in, the job, the moments, so many of us, we're looking past it. If I can just get to Friday, then I can get to the weekend, and then I don't like Sunday evenings because Monday's coming. But how can I take each moment and say, I'm going to do the best that I can with it? I think the first is we need to stop and enjoy some things. Enjoy some moments. We need to be a little more grateful and thankful in life. When's the last time we were grateful for just an everyday moment? When's the last time we were grateful for something that didn't even go our way? Don't raise your hand. I don't want you to lie. But seriously, how much different would life be if we could live in that way? And then I just enjoy it and be grateful, but I want to be intentional with each moment. I'm going to intentionally ask God every day. I ask, make this part of your prayer life in the mornings and say, God, how can I be intentional today? God, I want you to show me the opportunities that I have in front of me. Show me how I can spend today, because this moment I'm never going to get back. I'm going to spend it no matter what. I'm never getting that moment back. But God, how can I spend this intentionally to really do something? To not just let it pass me by. Be intentional with the opportunities that God gives me. God's wanting to use you right now where you're at, not just someday or get you somewhere. Right now. Second question, what am I making with the moments in my life? Have you ever done this before? You've walked into your kitchen. It's time to make dinner or lunch. You're looking at all your ingredients and you're like, I've got to somehow make a meal out of this. Right? Like, I don't have anything. We got a hamburger meat and Velveeta. I know what we're making. That's a hamburger. It's hamburger Velveeta cheese tonight, kids. like you just gotta craft it together and just make with what you got. Who's ever been there? You know, like I got 2 eggs, and then you don't have the ingredient in the recipe for you're looking online how to substitute it. And you got 16 substitutions for substitutions in your recipe, and we want to know why did that not turn out so good? One time I was making a pie. Me and my brother were making a pie for my mom, and so we were, oh gosh, and we were making this pie. We were so proud. And we accidentally used flour instead of sugar. So it was like, why is it so dry and disgusting? It was like, the ingredients actually matter. It matters what you put in there. We just saw this white powder. I mean, we didn't know if we were putting in sugar or cocaine. I didn't know. It's just white. Hey, that's got to be the right stuff. Hopefully there wasn't cocaine in my house. There wouldn't. Yeah. Dad's like, Online, there was not in the house. They kept that out in the shed in the back. I'm telling you, this is bad. It's streaming online right now. Oh, gosh. All right, keep it moving. You ever watch this show called Chopped? It's on Food Network. They take these crazy ingredients, and they got to make something edible out of it. Not just edible, but actually good, and they compete. And like you'd open these baskets, and it's just like crazy stuff, and you actually got to make a meal out of it. My question to you is, what am I making right now with the moments of my life? If nothing in your life changed and you kept living the exact same way that you're living, spending and using the same ingredients, the moments, the exact same way, at the end of your life, what is it that you've made? What is it that you've created? Is it something that's really made a difference? Is it something that really matters? Or is it hamburger meat Velveeta? You know what I mean? And what have we made with the moments? We're every moment we're given an opportunity. We're given a chance to make something, make a difference. What are we doing if nothing changed right now? If you decide not to make any changes and live the rest of your life the same way, what is being made with the recipe of the ingredients of your life? Or do we need to maybe treat our ingredients a little different? Do we need to do something different with the moments that we're given? Maybe we could do some things like slow down, actually look at people instead of looking past them. Care about them, have some empathy, help people when they're down. Don't let problems be a punishment for me, but a teacher to help me along. We can, in every moment, we can just say, I just want to get past here. I just want the kids to get out. I just want this moment to be over. I just, blah, 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 blah. You know. Or I can just say, God, how can you use this moment? God, you know I don't want to be in it, and I can't wait to toss that moment aside. I can't wait to get, that kid done pooped all over themselves, and I don't want to change his diaper right now. But God, let me be intentional in this moment. Instead of just throwing past it, how can I really be in it? That quality with it. God, show me. God, show me. Next question. Is what takes my time worth the time that it's taking? Is what's taking my time worth the time that it takes? The way that I'm spending my life right now, the way that the things that I'm doing with my life, do some things need to be reprioritized? Do they need to be moved around? Are some things that's not real important we've made really important? Maybe there's some things that need to be removed completely that we know is not enhancing my life, but it's actually derailing my life from where God would have me to go. Maybe there's some things in my life that need to be moved or removed completely. Maybe in your life, we're actually spending our time in some things that we know are derailing us from where God has us to go. Hey, enjoy some moments. I mean, do some fun stuff. Binge watch Netflix, a whole season in a day. I'm not mad at you, I mean, do some of that. But like, am I filling my whole life with things that really doesn't matter, or things that I know is bringing me somewhere I never need to be? We need to make sure that our moments are being spent intentional. And the last question is one that I just want to kind of leave us with. And if you could leave with a question to ask yourself continually, this is the one that I would like for you to ask yourself. If you could write it down or whatever you want to do to put this up somewhere to think about this question. Are we more interested in counting our days or making our days count? And how we answer that question determines how you're going to experience the time that you get. Not just living for the weekend, not just living to get past the now to get to the next, because if we are, man, how much am I missing? How much of my life? I've noticed that about my kids too. It's like, I just want to get past this moment. And the next thing I know, I look back and I'm like, I can't believe I missed so many moments just trying to get past that moment. Are we more interested in counting our days, counting down, or just making sure that my day counts? Because it matters. Sometimes to live kairos, quality, is inconvenient to our chronos, getting the day done with. Because sometimes it means that it's taking a little bit more time, caring a little bit more. Whenever the show's on, our kid wants us to go in there and do something real quick, and my first instinct is like, I don't care about that. Watching this. I can live for chronos and get past that moment and just get to the next one, go to bed, wake up and do the next thing. Or I can say, what's the kairos? What can I do with all the circumstances, all the things, all the environmental, how my life is built to take this shot, to live my life to the very best that I can? What does that look like? Chronos is inevitable. Kairos is not. You're not just going to default have quality in life. Experience time the greatest. I just love life. That's not default. It's not default to just say, I just feel so valued and purposeful every day as I go to my job. I don't know if that job exists. Don't get me wrong. I love being a pastor, but there's some days I'd rather work anywhere else. Not somewhere else, anywhere else. One more person calls me today. Yes, that's your pastor talking. How we experience time is based on what we do with the moments that we're given. And I'm going to say, God, I want to be intentional. I want to live each moment to the greatest that I can. It matters. Recognizing that the time that we have is not just obligation. I mean, it is. You're going to be in that moment of time. You can't do nothing about it. Until one day you're not going to be in that moment of time anymore. We look back and wish that we had it. There ain't no time machine. Let's live it the best now. Can't go back. We ain't living people who regret. You know, we're not getting the tattoo of no regrets because they're going to misspell it and it's going to say no regrets anyways, you know. We're just going to live every day and every moment to say, God, what's the opportunity right now? Yeah, God, I hope that I get another job and I'm praying for a new one, but right now while I'm here, how can I make the opportunity out of this? 2 Corinthians 6:2. As God's co-workers, man, we're in this to God. Did you know that we are God's plan to the world? I know some of you are like, they just freaked me out a little bit. Yeah, we're plan A. There's no plan B. We're God's plan for the world. We're God's co-workers on the earth. So we urge you not to receive God's grace in vain. For he said, this is from God, in the time of my favor I heard you, and in the day of salvation I helped you. And he says this, I tell you that now is the time of God's favor. Now is the day of salvation. That word used for time, you know what that word is? Kairos. The opportunity is not tomorrow, it's not the next day, right now. This is the day. This is the moment. Would you stand up with me? This is the time. This is the day when God has called you to say, start being intentional with your moments, because how you spend them is going to base on how you spend your life and how you experience the life that you're in. In the grind and the things that I don't want to be in and all those moments, and every bit of it, I really can live differently. I'm not saying that like things are going wrong at work and you're going to be able to skip in with just a happy joy on your face. I mean, you're not insane. But there's still a sense of joy that I can carry no matter what. I know that I can live in my purpose and my passion because each moment, God, I didn't want this day. I didn't want this to happen. Honestly, God, this right here represents the hardest day of my life. That moment was so difficult. What I'm going through right now, it's not what I want to be in. But while I'm in it, God, will you use it? God, will you use me? Help me to see the opportunity in it. Help me to see how I can honor you through it. Help me to see how I can make a difference, how I can help people, how I can shine a light for you. Because each moment is an opportunity. Don't just live for the moments that matter. Live to make moments matter. And the way you experience the time that you're given is going to be totally different. Can we just take like 2 minutes and they're just going to lead us in a part of a song. And it's going to be kind of a moment of reflection as you think through, my God, how do I spend my moments? How do I spend my day? Because moments are like currency. They're spent. But these you can't get back. God, just in a moment of reflection, ask God, God, would you help me to see the opportunity every day? God, help me to see life differently. There's not just obligation, but there's opportunity. God, you're in every moment. Come on, just use this just for a minute.
I'm gonna sing in the middle of the storm. Louder and louder, you're gonna hear my praises roar. Up from the ashes, hope will arise. Death is defeated, the King is alive. And I'm gonna sing in the middle of the storm. Louder and louder, you're gonna hear my praises roar. Up from the ashes, hope will arise. Death is defeated, the King is alive. I'm gonna sing in the middle of the storm. Louder and louder, you're gonna hear my praises roar. Up from the ashes, hope will arise. Death is defeated, the King is alive.
I'm gonna sing.
Yeah, I'm gonna sing in the middle of the storm. Louder and louder, you're gonna hear my praises roar. And up from the ashes, hope will arise. Death is defeated, the King is alive.
What in the world can we sing in a storm? We've got a new perspective, perception. We see it different. That's the only way. How can I see this Roman guard as an opportunity? Because I see, as living wise, that my days are numbered, so every moment is an opportunity to do something great. Every moment's not going to feel great, but every moment is an opportunity. If you bow your heads, I just want to pray for you. I want to ask you a question as you're in this place this morning, and I just want you to know that there's a God who loves you. Look, this whole sermon is all based on the idea that we've given our life to Jesus and He's guiding our lives. He's got purpose for you. He's got plans for your life. No matter who you are, what you've been through, He said that you can be a part of His family for now and forevermore. Be forgiven of whatever you've ever done. Be made new. Man, that's the only way to live. I just want you to know that opportunity, that moment is now. It's here. It's today. It's in this place, in this moment. I just want to ask you, if you've never given your life to Jesus, or maybe you've wandered way away, and this is the day that you need to come back and just dedicate your heart to God. This is the perfect moment for you to do that. If you would do me a favor, I just want to know who I'm praying for. If you're in this place and this is the day that you're like, I give my life to Jesus, would you slip your hand up? I just want to pray for you. We're not going to make you do anything. Then how many in this place you would just say, you know, this message, I need this. I'm in some moments and some things in life that I just need God's perspective to be able to live it differently. Can I see your hand? I just want to see who I'm praying for. Father, you see the hands and the hearts. God, you know what everyone's going through, God. Not always easy. It's not always perfect. Monday and Tuesday always comes. But God, you're in the midst of every bit of it. God, help us don't skip over to get to something new. Whatever season of life, God, help us to seize the opportunity to see you in it, to make a difference, to use our moments to make something great in our life. God, use us. We love you. We love you, God. You're incredible. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thanks for joining us online today. We want to invite you to stay connected with us throughout the week on Facebook and Instagram at City Church Lufkin. If you're looking for a church home in the Lufkin area, we'd love for you to join us on Sundays for one of our two services, 9 a.m. or 11 a.m. No matter who you are, where you come from, or what life looks like, you matter to God and you matter to us. If you've been blessed by this ministry, we'd love to give you an opportunity to help us continue to reach others just like you. By giving your tithe and offering, you're making a way for others to experience the love and hope of Jesus. There's a link in the description box where you can go online and make a donation, or you can simply give through text message. Just pull out your phone and text the dollar amount to 84321. Whether it's a one-time donation or a recurring gift, every dollar makes a difference. Before you go, we really hope the sermon series has really encouraged you to find purpose in the other 5 days of the week, not just the weekend. Imagine the impact our lives could have if we saw every moment as an opportunity and not just an obligation. We'll see you next week.